Now excited to be joined by a very special guest. It is a first-time guest, in fact. It is Matt Flynn. Matt, I was on with you and Hester earlier before we recorded this, and we were like, I was just trying not to call you T-Bob at every single instance, despite the obvious similarities between you two. But you and Hester being reunited after T-Bob left for Barstool, it is cool to see. And for those of us that obviously know the connection, have been watching you guys together for a while, it is great to be able to see this. Who recruited you harder, though, Hester or Nick Saban?
Oh man, that's a solid question. Um, it was funny when so I've been going on the radio. I mean, probably 7 years when since Hester moved from Shreveport to Baton Rouge to do nighttime radio. I've been coming on with him for at least once a week. So ever since then, I've been doing even with Hester and T Bob in the morning. I was doing at least an hour or two with him every week. So I wasn't like completely new to this whole situation, but I got done one day. This was, I think, mid or late April. And Hester's like, "Hey man, can I talk to you? Can I see you for a second?" And he's like, might be doing something. He might be doing having another opportunity. He said, "How would you feel about stepping in and being the full-time co-host?" And I honestly, I just like belly laughed at him. I was like, "Yeah, right. I don't think so." Just because I mean, I got kids, I got business and all of these things. I'd never even thought about doing this full time. It never even crossed my mind that it's an option for me to do that or a path that I would even entertain. Um, and so I just kind of laughed. I laughed. I made some off comments, like, jokingly, "Ah, man, you can't afford me, blah, blah, blah." And I just kind of walked off. But I got to my car and I started thinking about it. And I was like, why not? Let's entertain this. Let's come up with a pros and cons list. So my wife and I, we started thinking about it, and we really couldn't think of anything that was holding me back from doing it besides the fact that I don't like to wake up early, and I'm going to wake up and do a morning show at that point. So that was a little bit of a life changer there for me. But other than that, man, I diving into more sports is a little bit more time consuming for me. But like I operate a business. I started a business about 8 years ago. And honestly, the radius from 7 to 10, we get done at 10. I'm not missing too much of my normal day-to-day work day. And my businesses were kind of at a point where I could do this and free up a little bit of time. So, man, it just worked out and it's been a blast. We've only started in June, so I guess I can't like talk too much yet about like how it's going well until we get into it. I'm sure about like month 7, 8, 9 is going to be some mornings where I'm like fighting my alarm clock a little bit. But look, it's been great, man. It's me and Hester, of course, we go way back, and I don't think I would have said yes to doing it with anybody except for him.
It is such a different world to be in now and to be on that side regularly and to know that you're going to be having new experiences. You're doing this at the best time of year for you too, where you get to pick it up and LSU baseball wins a national title and that's supposed to be the dead time of year. And then
Right,
you're
right,
you're,
right.
you're going to get the SEC Media Days experience, which Hester was kind of having me give you like the rundown of what to expect. And I basically just said, keep your
Yeah,
head on a swivel. It's a wild
yeah.
experience. Have your own takes, kind of stick to them. Don't necessarily like go in there not really knowing how you feel, and then people can kind of talk you into things, but just kind of know where you stand. Like how Hester is so pro Mizzou, like just have your thing
Right, right, right.
that you can
Yeah,
keep coming back
exactly.
to.
Because
Um,
I'm just gonna go back to it.
yeah, do you want to like workshop some takes with me? Like, do you want to say like, oh,
Yeah.
Harold Perkins should be used on offense actually, and maybe less as a linebacker, like anything. Just feel free to throw them
Heard it
at
through
me.
the grapevine. That's right. You know, I want to go back to what you said about how I started at the perfect time. Let me tell you something. Like I started on June 1, and LSU, I believe it just maybe it was right before I can't remember if the super regionals was the weekend leading up or the regionals was the weekend leading up to that or was the weekend of my first day on the job. Um, and that is should be a pretty easy time to like find some topics during a dead period. Except I don't know anything about baseball. I hadn't watched a pitch or a swing all year, and we're talking. I got to do radio to LSU fans who are diehard, the biggest baseball fans ever. So you got me going on there, absolutely making a fool of myself, trying to like find things to talk about. And of course, we keep winning, 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 winning. So I'm studying as much as I can. I'm watching as much like old like TV tapes of games. I'm trying to learn the names. I'm trying to do this and that. And every day it's like 3 or 4 baseball guests on there. And I'm like, what do I ask these people. Like I've always been the person that's getting asked the question. I've never been a guy like formulating and trying to guide a conversation, which Jacob's like an absolute pro, right? So he's a great guy to lean on when like he can tell like if I don't have anything, I'm like, hey bud, like you got to take this thing. So I'm not really leading the conversations or show just yet. I think that's all about just repetitions, right? So I mean, you would know it better than me. It's all about repetitions in this world of getting comfortable, just like the little like professionalism things of things I never even thought about. Interviewing somebody, doing like ad reads, doing like coming in and out of breaks and segments and things like that. Things just like, I'm not going to say fluff, but like just filling air time. Like when things aren't going, you don't have necessarily like a thought formulated completely in your head, but you got to fill air time. All those things that are there. But it's funny that you say that about baseball because I was struggling for the first couple of weeks trying to find some stuff. So now we're going to get into my comfort zone a little bit more with football.
Okay, so your comfort zone is knowing what an LSU National Championship team looks like. What can derail this LSU team from winning a national championship?
Oh man, I don't think there's anything that's real glaring to me that um that they're going to have to deal with and really like pinpoint as, man, we got to avoid this, we got to avoid these traps. I mean, every championship team, no matter how many 5-star talented you are, whatever it is, every championship team has to have good fortune. So you have to have good fortune on the injury front. Things have to go your way. You got to get some calls. There's not a team out there that's won and made a run through a conference like the SEC that hasn't had something go their way. Now, that being said, you have to take the advantages you get. So when something does go your way and goes against the other team, you have to be able to take advantage of it. So if a mistake happens or a call goes your way in a game, you got to be able to take advantage of it. But yeah, I would say stay healthy is the big thing. I mean, um, we did such a great job in the transfer portal. Brian Kelly and the staff, we bring back so much talent at the wide receiver. Garrett Nussmeier, he speaks for himself. I mean, everybody has awoken to how good Garrett Nussmeier is, and how good he can be. So now we're going from year one to year two. And that's always the jump at the next level in the NFL on a rookie quarterback. The year one to year two jump is always the biggest, widest gap that they can jump in their career. So if it doesn't happen in that 1 to 2 year, it likely won't happen or might not happen. But we're going in from year one as a starter to year two. Now there's so many things that he did well on. There's little improvement that he can do in a lot of the things because he make so many NFL reads, NFL throws, big time things that you're not going to improve on those. It's just getting more consistent with them, eliminating the bad plays, a little eliminating lulls in a game that extend for multiple series, kind of like we had in the second half against Texas A&M last year. And then of course we got to play good defense. I think Blake Baker, our defensive coordinator, is one of those guys that defenders want to play for. He commands energy from those guys. They want to go out and play hard. They're going to play with their hair on fire. And they're more talented at each position this year than they have been on defense since Brian Kelly's been there. So this is kind of the put up or shut up year, I think, for as far as the defense goes. So they have the talent, they have the coaching staff. Now we got to go prove it. So a lot of that good fortune, the injuries. I mean, everybody's going to deal with injuries all over the country, every single team. So got to have that. But this is the year where, hey, there's no more excuses out there. They got to go perform. And I believe that they have the team DNA, the team chemistry, the team leadership, which is so important. To get it all done. Everything that they want to accomplish, they can accomplish. Now they just got to go do it.
Take me back to your recruitment because you're a Texas kid, and I know your recruitment was, you had all these schools coming in from all over the place, but Nick Saban makes a 5 hour drive. He comes in, he's coming in from Baton Rouge to Tyler, Texas. Take me back to what that experience was like when he showed up and you realize like, oh gosh, this is kind of next level. And I'm not sure if he was the person that kind of set that reality in for you, but what was it like seeing him
Yeah.
show up?
Man, they weren't driving. They were taking that LSU jet, I think.
Good point.
They were,
Good point.
um, all right. So recruitment from LSU was so at the time it was broken up in areas, like different position coach had different geographical areas throughout the country. At that point, Kirk Dahl, who was the linebacker coach here at LSU, was East Texas. So I think he was Northern Louisiana, East Texas. I'm sure he had some other, but that was his area. So he actually recruited Jacob Hester and I both out of high school. So he kind of got the process started, like the introductions. Um, but at the time, Jimbo Fisher was the offensive coordinator, and of course, great coach in his own right. Nick Saban, great coach. They're both young. At the time when I started getting recruiting, LSU had won an SEC championship, I think in '01, but they weren't like the powerhouse that they were very soon to be, right? Um, so Jimbo takes over the recruitment of quarterbacks because at that year they wanted to take their goal was to recruit and sign two quarterbacks. So they made that clear up front to me. I go and I think I'm talking to Jimbo Fisher at first. This was probably, I don't know, the winter after my junior year of high school. Recruiting happened a lot later back then than it does now. I mean, you weren't getting recruited as a eighth, ninth, 10th grader. It happened after your junior season for most people. So they tell you we're taking two quarterbacks. So I'm like, all right, cool. I hadn't been offered a scholarship. I don't know if anybody at that time had been offered a scholarship. I'm sure there had been, but they gave me the list of everybody. So I get recruited. I go up to a drive down. Me and my dad drive down for a junior day, which is like they invite juniors to come in, recruit, introduce them, meet coaches, things like that. So at that point, I'd never physically met anybody. I drove down to LSU. We get there at night, and it was funny. We're like driving up, and I'm young and dumb. Like I hadn't really been traveled a lot. Like we have like this big Exxon Mobil plant outside of Baton Rouge, like right on the river. So when you're driving in, like you see all the lights at the Exxon Mobil plant, and then like to the right of it's the state capitol building, and I'm like, oh my god, this place is huge. I thought it was a downtown skyline of all like this Exxon Mobil plant. I thought it was downtown skyline. I was like, man, this is a big old city, man. I didn't expect this. So we drive in. It's like, all right, well, we find out it wasn't that big of a city. It was big, but wasn't that big. We go to junior day, and I remember sitting there, and I had never seen anything really like it. I grew up a Baylor Bear fan. My dad played quarterback for the Baylor in the '60s. I'm youngest of five. Most of my siblings went to Baylor. I grew up going to games at Floyd Casey Stadium in Waco, Texas, like every home game. Huge Baylor fan. So arriving at an SEC school, SEC stadium was a little bit different than what I was used to. So I'm in awe of the place. At that time, we were watching highlight videos of like Rohan Davey and Josh Reed, just like tearing it up. At that time, I was like, this is a place I want to go. Jimbo was a great recruiter, a great talker. He was like, I was like, man, I could play for this guy. So they recruit me. After that, I was like, man, at that point, I was like, all right, this is like a top three place for me, LSU. They come and recruit me. Jimbo tells a story to this day. He told it on our show about a month ago. He was one of our first guests when Hester and I started. He had come down, him, Nick Saban, and Kirkdahl came down to watch me practice in the spring. And we didn't throw it a lot. I was in high school. I think we threw the ball probably like 7, 8 times a game, something like that.
I wasn't going to say
15 if
that,
we
but
had.
I was thinking that looking back at some of your numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was we were like we were run first, throw it if you have to. My head coach, he was offensive lineman at Tulane back in the day, so he was a hard nosed guy. So we threw it if we had to. And I probably me getting recruited forced him to throw the ball a little bit more than he wanted to, you know. But no, we had a really great high school program, and they came down in spring, and Nick Saban and Jimbo were like, all right, coach, we know you don't throw the ball. We would like to see him throw it in practice. And so we scheduled a full throwing only practice. And we threw, and we kind of lit it up. And after that, they offered me a scholarship pretty much on the spot after that practice. And Jimbo tells the story a lot better. He still remembers the stats from that practice. So they recruit me then, and I went down for a summer camp. And I'm getting long-winded on this answer because it was such a long, cool process. But one more part of that is because this is fresh in my mind because I told it to my son the other day because he had signed up for a camp and he didn't, after the first day, he didn't like it and he didn't want to do it. So, of course, as a dad, we are going to make him finish what he started. And I told him this story. Said I went down to training, summer mini camp. That's not mini camp, summer football camp for high schoolers. Go down to the bayou. And I'm from Tyler, Texas. It's still hot there. But I get to Baton Rouge, and it was the hottest place I'd ever been to. We're high school kids. We got our helmets on, football, and it was like training camp. Nick Saban was cussing people out, yelling, it was like legit, and it was miserable first day. And I was like, man, this sucks. So like I remember after that first day at camp, I was like, Dad, let's get out of here. I'm not coming here. There's no way. Like this coach is too similar to my high school coach. I kind of want to play for more of a player's coach, blah, blah, blah. It was hard, it was hot. And he was like, nope, you're staying for the whole thing. I was like, all right, I guess. So I reluctantly stayed and fell in love with it the next day. And so after that, we went back home. And 2 days later, I called Jimbo and I said, I'd like to come to LSU. So that was it. The rest was history.
It's kind of amazing because recruiting has changed a whole lot, and there are a
Yeah,
lot of coaches that would not be able to get away with yelling like that at a camp, and they would lose the
yeah,
four-star quarterback recruit, and then be like,
yep,
"Oh, why'd you do that?"
that's
Much
right.
has certainly changed. What do you remember about the day that that Nick Saban announced that he was going to Miami and leaving LSU?
Oh wow, I don't get asked that question a lot. So year two, we had won the national championship my freshman year. I was redshirted. I was an integral part of that team. I was the decoy signaler on the sideline. Then my second year there was 2004, so I was a true freshman. Not true freshman. It was my first freshman eligible year. Um, sorry, people keep that. The Go to the Capital One Bowl, and I believe it was the first day of practice or the first day. I think as soon as we arrived to the Capital One Bowl in Orlando, we have a meeting. I believe it was a nighttime meeting where he all sits down and he tells us, like, look, I got this opportunity. And, it's those meetings are emotional, right? Um, he tells us he's leaving, but I was 19 at the time, 19, second, hadn't really played a lot. Um, hadn't like found my foundation, my footing there. Because as a young kid, every coaching staff, that's their job to like. And at that point, like once you sign, there's no transferring at that point. So like the freshmen get the brunt of everything, right? So at that point, it's like I didn't have like this huge like emotional attachment personally to any of the coaches, besides like Jimbo, my offensive people. So it didn't hit me as hard as it probably should have at the time, because like at that time, he's a good coach. You also know he's a hard coach to play for. And as a 19-year-old, you're not cognizant of like he's like the what you need to be successful. This is a great teaching. At that moment, you're like, oh man, I guess the next one's gonna like next coach is gonna be easier or something like that. You know what I mean? Um, we didn't really know what to think at the time. It's like we just got the Capital One Bowl. We're here for a week. We play in 7 days. We're gonna play hard. Um, but yeah, it was a wild ride. Then it's at that point it's just a big question mark. Is Jimbo staying? Is all these coaches staying? Who all's leaving? Who's he taking with them? Obviously, who's the next head coach going to be? So it's just one of those deals where I don't really recall the emotional pull from it. Um, but again, like you don't know how good you got it till it's gone type of deal. But you know, it's on the other hand, we hired Les Miles and was a fantastic fit at the time. And we won a national championship with him, and I was the quarterback for that. So it's like you lose one great coach, you get somebody that's kind of the opposite. No, there's nothing about their coaching styles that is similar besides the fact that they're really attention to detail and they hire good people around them. But other than that, there wasn't like similarity wise, there wasn't a lot. But we had two good ones in my career.
I was reading an old ESPN story on this. Your parents used to drive the 10 hours round trip to watch you hold footballs. That's incredible.
So my parents, um, they were so supportive in everything that I did and all my siblings did. That it's like something that I'm trying to make sure and I do with my children. And it's hard. It's hard to do this, but like even going back to middle school, my dad would go to every practice in middle school, right? When I was seventh grade and I lost the job and I was a second string quarterback in seventh grade. And there was like 200 of these little rugrats running around, all with the same uniform and helmet on, same T-bone helmet, face mask. And he would make me wear like high blue baseball socks so he could pick me out like during practice. He went to every practice. He'd go to all my practices in high school, all my games. Um, and through 5 seasons at LSU, with me only starting one full season, I think they only missed one game
Wow.
that at home or away the entire time. Um, And I believe the one game they missed, I believe it was because it got moved to a Monday night because of Hurricane Katrina.
The
I want to say
Tennessee
it might have been
game,
the Arizona.
Tennessee
Well,
game,
it was the
right?
Tennessee game. That's right. There it was. You got it. I missed that one because it was on Monday night. I think my dad had to be in court or something.
Wow.
Yep. So it's incredible. So like again, it's one of those things like you don't know how good you got it till you are old enough to be cognizant of it and look back on it. Pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. I was very, very fortunate. So just some of those things that I'm trying to do as well and realizing how incredibly difficult that is.
I'm sure you get asked a lot about Jamarcus Russell, but I've always had this weird fascination with Ryan Perrilloux. What's a story that just kind of sticks out with him? And I know it didn't obviously end the way that he had hoped, the way that everybody thought it would at LSU. But what's a memory that you have of of him and all the time that you spent with him?
Oh, good question. Ryan, when you come in to the state college in your home state, when the number one recruit in the country, number one recruit, like, I don't know, of all time or whatever it is, like, there's a lot of pressure to live up to, and that's a lot of hype to live up to that. He was a guy that what happened towards the back hand of his career was it was difficult to see. Difficult to see how it all kind of ended here at LSU. I don't know all the details on it, but I know that it did. LSU got put in a bad position when that did happen. Um, because at the time, it didn't seem like our quarterback room. We weren't taking quarterbacks every year at the time, so it wasn't like 4 or 5 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster at all times. I remember when I think it was when I started in the Peach Bowl. I think in 2005, Jamarcus and I might have been the only scholarship quarterbacks on the roster, and Jamarcus didn't make the trip. So, like, we had me and a walk on as a backup, and it was just one of those deals. I don't know that's probably why LSU struggled after the '07 season at the quarterback position for a little while was because of the incidences that happened with Ryan and the way that whole thing ended. Because we had a really great quarterback at a young Jarrett Lee that was talented, uber talented, in the classic case of getting thrown in there too early. And then all of a sudden, that kind of ruined his confidence for a little while. He just played way too early when he shouldn't have been playing. It should have been parallel playing. So, how it all ended, I don't know the details. It's tough, but I do know. I will give you one story about the how uber confident Ryan was. And I mean, he was a great player, great arm, had all the talent in the world, man, had all the talent. And I had to work my ass off to stave him off. Like I was, I had thought about transferring my junior year because Jamarcus was on. It was 2006. He was on his run and where he eventually became the number one overall draft pick. And I was like, well, we're the same classification. Like, I'm not going to be able to, like, I can't stay here unless he goes to the draft. And of course he did. But even after that happened, like, I wasn't guaranteed the spot. Like, I remember, like, Les Miles telling me, he's like, I'm not just giving you these keys to the car because it's a beautiful car. And, like, I got to make sure you earn these keys. So, like, I even had to compete that year. So Ryan pushed and pushed and pushed. I just worked my ass off and I knew that it was my time. But I remember when he did come in, um, he was saying, so he said something like, there was this quote because I remember reading the quote, something like, yeah, I think my first year, I'll, I'll, I don't know, I'll be in New York or something like that. I'll beat Jamarcus out. And he said, I already know I'm better than Matt. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, that's fine, that's fine. But I look back on it. At the time, it gave me fuel, right? But I look back on it. That's the kind of confidence I want in my quarterback, right? That's the kind of confidence we want in our quarterback. So, like I said, in-state guy, one of the top recruits of all time, coming out of Louisiana, and going to the in-state school. Yeah, you're dang right. You earn that confidence. Got to go earn it past that for sure. But yeah, it was just a shame how it all ended. It kind of put LSU behind the 8 ball a little bit at quarterback position. And I think that was kind of the start of the snowball effect. And you saw it for, really until Mettenberger came. Mettenberger kind of, righted the ship for a little while. But I mean, almost a decade of offenses that really didn't live up to the LSU name.
Of all the memories you could draw back on for '07, the one that always stands out to me, at least from the people that I've talked to, most notably Hester, obviously, the 2007 SEC championship. You guys win that as a two-loss team. Nobody thinks LSU is going to a national championship because of everything that's going to happen with Pitt and West Virginia, all that stuff. But you guys thought you were going to die on the plane ride home. That
Yeah,
did you
yeah.
think that you were going to
Um,
die in that moment?
yes, 100%. First of all, I don't like flying. Like if everything, especially since I've had kids, but like every time I'm on a plane, it's like every single noise. I'm like looking over my shoulder. I look at the flight attendants to see if they're panicking. Like it's just the older I get, the less I like it. But I've never really loved it. But yeah, so we played Tennessee in the SEC championship. Of course, like we lost in triple overtime on the last game of the regular season against Arkansas. Those jerks, Derek McFadden, Dre McFadden, Felix Jones, Peyton Hillis, they all had like over 100 yards rushing on us that game. What a stud trio that was. Um, so we don't really think we have a chance because there's so many things that happened. But we probably should have known there was a chance because if you go back and look at the 2007 season, probably the wildest in college football history as far as number one's losing,
Oh
number
yeah.
two's losing, just a back and forth. I mean, I don't know if anybody held on to one or two spot for more than like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks tops. Like it was so back and forth. So um, we win the game. I was actually hurt that game. I didn't get to play, which stunk because I wanted to play Tennessee bad because I wanted to go there as a high school and they never recruited me. But anyway, that's another story. But they we play them, we win. We're on the plane, and at that time, there's no cell phones, there's no like on-air Wi-Fi or anything, of course. So you get on the plane, and I mean, you're blacked out from information. One person that does get information is the pilot because he's talking down to ground control, and they're speaking to him. So ground control knows he's flying the LSU, and so ground control is giving him score updates. Who was it? I think it was West Virginia Pitt. I
Yeah,
think Pitt,
backyard brawl.
West
Yep.
Virginia. Yep, exactly. So I think Pitt beat West Virginia. Um, so he's giving us score updates, and then he comes on the microphone. He's like, "Update, you know, Pittsburgh blah, West Virginia blah, Pittsburgh won, whatever." And so we knew that was the last piece that would actually open the door for the BCS computer to like take over and do its thing potentially. And so we celebrate. Everyone's jumping out. We're high fiving, like absolute pandemonium in the plane. And all of a sudden, we must have hit like the biggest like pocket of turbulence air you've ever seen in your life because it felt like the plane just dropped like 5,000 feet. You ever just been in a free fall? And so everybody like hunkers down. Everyone's quiet, death quiet in there. Everyone's still. Like this wasn't like normal, like rough air. This was a complete drop of a plane, not nose down, but it just like flat, just went psh, drop really fast. So after that, we were yeah, super scared, and that was it. Jacob said that he said this the other day because we got asked by somebody what our favorite Skip Bertman story was. So we were captains, so we were kind of up in the front of the plane, and I guess Skip Bertman was sitting in front of us, and apparently when we were celebrating, he remembers distinctly that I kissed Skip Bertman on top of the head while I was celebrating. I don't know. I don't remember this, but he did.
I think there are probably a lot of things from that ride that you'd like to be able to forget and just black out from your memory. Uh,
Exactly, no doubt.
Last one for you before I get you out on some rapid fire. January 1st, 2012. For those that don't know, YouTube it. It's the best backup quarterback performance in NFL history. You had six touchdown passes. Look, I'm a Bears fan. I wasn't bitter at all that day that the Packers are starting their first quarterback, not named Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre in 20 years, and he just throws six touchdown passes like it's no big deal. Whatever, wasn't bitter. Um, how often do you just daydream about that day?
Yeah, that was a cool. That was obviously a cool day. That's a pretty cliche answer. Um, yeah, that season we were 13. We were coming off a Super Bowl champion. We were Super Bowl champions in 2010.
I know,
So we're
Matt.
coming
I
off.
know. Yeah, yeah, you were.
I'm sorry, I didn't. I know we beat y'all 4 times in one calendar season. I know.
Yep.
Let's see and so we're 13-0 the following year as the reigning Super Bowl champs. So like, man, we're pretty good. We ended up going to Kansas City, and Todd Haley just got fired. We got beat by the first week. We got bit by the interim bug. The interim coach always wins, right? So Romeo Cornell was interim coach of Kansas City, beat us. We fall to 13-1. If they wouldn't have beaten us, I wouldn't have ever gotten that opportunity to play in the last game because, of course, we would have gone for an undefeated season. Um, so that loss, I mean, which is which stinks as in Packers lore, but yeah, it actually opened the door for me to be able to play that Week 17 game against the Lions. And people forget that that Lions team actually made the playoffs in a time where they were not very good. So they played all their people because they were playing for seeding at the time. Um, and it was a wild game because I mean it was like 15 degrees, 16 degrees, and windy. I remember going out there before the game, and we had a tarp on the field because like in Lambeau Field, there's coils under the field that keep it warm. Like they heat the ground up so the ground doesn't freeze. So it's like actually a playable, softer surface. Now it can't work miracles, but it does keep it like semi warm. So they put a tarp on it to keep that warmth on the field, like so it doesn't like just evaporate or go up in the air. But I remember that tarp was just blowing in the air because it was so windy. And this is a noon game. There's usually not that much juice in a noon game, but we're going out there. The Lions players like have their shirts on, and the shirts off, like being tough and stuff like that. And our linemen are like, no, we're wrapping up with like hoodies and gloves and scarves and everything, right? Because we've done this. Y'all play indoors every day. Um, so we got there. It was just one of those games that everything worked. Called the right plays. Aaron Rodgers, he was sitting out, so he called all the plays in the first of the game just to kind of keep him engaged all week in the game plan and what we were doing. He called the plays, so he was the one talking to me on the first half. Then Mike McCarthy took over the second half. But man, everything we were doing was working for us. It was also working for them as well. So you're going to a cold environment, windy, and there was exactly 1,000 yards passing that game. I threw for 480. Matt Stafford threw for 520. I believe Calvin Johnson was like 350 yards receiving or something crazy in that game. So it was just pretty much who was going to get the ball last. We scored with a little bit of time left. They got it, and I think we got an interception at the end to seal it. But I mean, certainly a game that was a life changer for me, just because of the timing of how professional football works and contracts and everything like that. But when I think back on it, I got that game and 2013 Dallas Cowboy game where I came back to Green Bay after a couple of stops that were not successful for me in this for being a full-time starter. But coming back, and then I got to play the Cowboys in Jerry World in 2013, kind of coming back off a rocky road of like a season and a half of a rocky road, and I think we had like a 25-3 deficit at halftime. We came back and won, and those two games are like the memorable ones. One because it set me up for the rest of my career. Then the other one was because, all right, I know I can do this. I know I'm still supposed to be here. I know that a competitor's mindset. Other people made bad decisions. So I know I can still come and do this, right? So yeah, those are two pretty cool moments for me.
I'm always convinced that it always had to be in that exact uniform. That's just the way that
Yeah,
it's always going
yeah,
to work, and I'm just going to have to live with that and accept it and move on. This has been great, man. Really appreciate you doing this. I want to get you out of here with some rapid fire, just 5 questions. First thing that comes to mind. Does
sure.
that work for you? All right.
Yeah.
First one. What is the loudest SEC road venue that you've experienced? And it can't be Tiger Stadium.
A lot of SEC road game. Probably, probably Auburn. I mean, there's so many good ones. So many good. We had some tight games with Auburn. We had tight games with everybody, but yeah, we'll just go with Auburn.
Which coach was the scariest when mad? Saban, Jimbo, Muschamp, or the wild card, Pelini?
I'll say, hmm, I'll say Saban because I didn't deal with them a whole lot. Jimbo was certainly mad and scary, but I also knew Jimbo was going to put his arm around me when practice was over and like teach me, right?
True.
Saban
True.
was just, he was a defensive guy. He wasn't teaching any offensive guys afterwards. He was just yelling.
You can only pick one to eat: Texas barbecue or Cajun.
Cajun.
That's the correct answer. That is.
Yeah.
That definitely is.
Can't go
Uh,
wrong. I mean, you can't go wrong, but
Cajun's right. You can live. There
yeah,
are there are other barbecues. There are not other Cajuns. That's the difference.
it's
That's
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
What was the first thing you bought when you got that Seahawks contract?
Good question. I don't like have this monumental purchase that I did. When I made because my in year three I bought myself a car. My parents had bought me my car that I used in college, and I said if I make it 3 years in the NFL, I'm going to buy myself a car. I bought myself a car year three. Um, well, this is the answer right here. I bought my wife an engagement ring, my girlfriend at the time. So we got engaged in Seattle. So there you go.
That's a good answer. That's a
Yeah, yeah.
really good answer. All right, last one for you. You can't get this wrong. Like if you get this wrong, you're gonna have some serious points deducted. But not that we're
Okay.
keeping track. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't.
Clear eyes, full hearts. Uh, full eyes, clear eyes, full hearts. Can't lose.
There you go. All right, you were stumbling for a second there. If you didn't say can't lose, I'm not gonna say you're gonna get revoked Texas citizenship, but at a time like now, I mean that's obviously very important.
That's right. Exactly. We got there though. We got there.
We got it.
Jake will tell you I stumble over my words all the time. I do it for 3 hours every morning.
Look, you're good. By the time we're going to be doing this at this time next year, you're going to be a seasoned vet. You'll have been to one SEC media days already.
That's right.
You'll be good to
That's,
go.
that's
Matt,
exactly.
really appreciate you doing this. We'll see you in person in a couple weeks at SEC media
Yeah,
days, man.
Connor. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to meeting you. Looking forward to chopping it up with everybody. And might as well just dive in head first, right?
Love it.
SEC Media Day.
I'll leave the Bears helmet at home. Won't be bringing that with.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. I won't bring my Packers one.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I appreciate that.
All right.